Future generations will look back at this moment and ask a simple but powerful question. What were we thinking? How could we possibly ignore the warning signs, deny the science, and delay the action that was needed to protect our planet? I'm not standing here as a scientist. I'm not here with a laboratory coat or a long list of technical credentials. I'm here as someone with two eyes, a brain, and a heart. I see what's happening in our world, and I know it will have a profound impact on our children, and especially on our grandchildren, because this is not just about numbers, graphs, or policies. This is about families. This is about health. This is about the kind of world we leave behind. When we talk about climate change, we're not just talking about melting ice caps or rising temperatures on a chart. We're talking about the future of our families. We're talking about the air our children will breathe, the water they will drink, and the world they will grow up in. Every decision we make today echoes forward in time, shaping lives we may never meet, but for whom we hold a profound responsibility. I think about the generations that will come after us. I think about the questions they might ask when they study this moment in their history books. They may look back and wonder why, when the warnings were so clear and the evidence so overwhelming, we didn't act with the urgency the situation demanded. They may ask why we chose comfort over courage, delay over determination, and convenience over responsibility. And those questions won't be abstract. They will come from real people, young people who will live with the consequences of our choices. They will be our sons and daughters, our nieces and nephews, our grandchildren. They will inherit the world we shape today. I don't need to imagine this in theory. I see it every time I look at a child with big dreams and endless curiosity about the future. I see it in the hopes parents carry when they tuck their children into bed at night. Every parent wants to believe their child will grow up in a world that is safer, healthier, and more full of opportunity than the one they knew. But that promise is at risk. Rising temperatures, stronger storms, longer droughts, and polluted air are not distant possibilities. They are realities that are already affecting communities across the globe. Farmers are watching their crops wither. Families are rebuilding after floods and fires. Children are growing up in cities where the air they breathe threatens their health. And the truth is, the people who will feel these impacts the most are often those who have contributed the least to the problem. It's the next generation, the young, the vulnerable, and the communities with the fewest resources who are on the front lines of a crisis they did not create. That's why this issue is not just about science or policy. It is about fairness. It is about justice. And above all, it is about responsibility. Because every generation faces defining moments when the choices they make determine the course of history. For our parents and grandparents, it was building a strong economy, defending freedom, expanding civil rights, and putting a person on the moon. They faced enormous challenges, but they rose to meet them. They didn't turn away from hard truths or difficult tasks. They stepped forward, and because they did, we live better lives today. Now it's our turn. We are the stewards of this planet at a time when it needs us the most. We are the generation with the knowledge, the technology, and the resources to change course. We understand the problem. We know the solutions. What we need is the will to act. And when we act, we don't just protect the environment, we protect opportunity. We protect the chance for every child to grow up in a world where clean air and safe water are not luxuries but basic rights. We protect the possibility of thriving communities, strong economies, and a healthier planet, because the decisions we make today will be written into the lives of future generations. They will feel the impact of our courage or the consequences of our hesitation. So let us make choices that our children will thank us for, not question. Let us be the generation that stepped up when it mattered most. Let us leave behind not excuses, but a legacy of action, responsibility, and hope, because one day, when they look back and ask what we were thinking, I want the answer to be clear. We were thinking about them. There is another truth we must confront, and it begins with something very simple. We have to listen to the facts. We have to respect the science. Because when it comes to climate change, this is not a matter of opinion, ideology, or political convenience. It is a matter of evidence, observation, and overwhelming scientific consensus. For decades, scientists across the world, people who have dedicated their lives to studying our planet, have been sounding the alarm. They have measured rising temperatures, shrinking glaciers, warming oceans, and increasing levels of carbon, in our atmosphere. They have studied storms growing stronger, droughts lasting longer, and ecosystems struggling to survive. And they have come to the same conclusion again and again. The climate is changing, and human activity is the driving force. This is not a fringe theory. It is not a passing trend. It is settled science. And yet, even in the face of all this evidence, there are still voices that choose denial over reality. There are still leaders who stand in front of microphones and say, "I'm not a scientist," as if that excuses them from listening to those who are, as if ignorance were a qualification instead of a failure of leadership. You don't have to be a scientist to recognize the truth. You just have to be willing to listen. You have to be willing to trust the experts who have spent years studying the problem, rather than the loudest voices in a political debate. Think about it this way. If your doctor told you that you had a serious health problem, you wouldn't ignore the diagnosis just because it was inconvenient. You wouldn't pretend the problem didn't exist because the treatment required effort or sacrifice. You would listen. You would act because your life would depend on it. Well, the planet is giving us that diagnosis right now. The warning signs are all around us. And the treatment, clean energy, smarter infrastructure, and responsible policies, is within our reach. The real question is not whether the science is clear. The real question is whether we are brave enough to follow where the science leads. Leadership is not about denying reality. It is about facing it head on. It is about making decisions based on facts, not fears. It is about telling the truth, even when that truth is uncomfortable, because the truth is this: we cannot solve a problem we refuse to acknowledge. We cannot protect our future if we ignore the warnings of the present. And we cannot claim to be responsible leaders if we turn our backs on the very knowledge that could guide us forward. Science is not the enemy. It is not something to be feared or dismissed. Science is one of humanity's greatest achievements. It is the reason we have modern medicine, safer buildings, faster communication, and longer lives. It is the reason we can predict storms, grow more food, and explore the farthest reaches of space. And now, science is offering us a path to a cleaner, safer, more sustainable future. But that path requires courage. It requires leaders who are willing to stand up and say, yes, this is real. Yes, this is urgent. And yes, we are going to do something about it. Because the moment we accept the science is the moment we stop arguing about whether the problem exists and start working together on solutions. And those solutions are not about sacrifice alone. They are about innovation, opportunity, and progress. They are about building a stronger economy, creating new jobs, and improving the quality of life for millions of people. But none of that can happen if we keep pretending the science is still up for debate. So let us move forward with clarity and honesty. Let us put facts before politics, evidence before ideology, and responsibility before excuses. Let us listen to the scientists, trust the data, and act with the urgency this moment demands, because the time for denial has passed and the time for action has arrived. Now, when we talk about confronting climate change, some people still see it only as a burden, something that will cost jobs, slow growth, or hold back our economy. For too long, we have been told that protecting our planet means sacrificing our prosperity, but that is a false choice. In fact, the clean energy transition is one of the greatest economic opportunities of our time. All across the country, we are already seeing the proof. The renewable energy industry is not a distant promise. It is a growing reality. It has created tens of thousands of new jobs and attracted billions of dollars in investment. These are not abstract numbers. These are real paychecks for real families. These are new businesses opening their doors, new technologies being developed, and new careers being built. Think about the workers installing solar panels on rooftops, the engineers designing wind turbines, the technicians maintaining odor and power grids, and the entrepreneurs building the next generation of clean technologies. These are the jobs of the future, and they are being created right now. Clean energy is not just good for the environment, it is good for the economy. It reduces our dependence on imported fuels, strengthens our national security, and keeps more money circulating within our own communities. When we invest in renewable energy, we are investing in American workers, American innovation, and American leadership. And this is not just happening in big cities or high-tech corridors. It is happening in small towns, rural communities, and manufacturing centers that have been searching for new opportunities. Wind farms are bringing new life to rural landscapes. Solar installations are creating jobs in communities that need them most. Energy efficiency projects are lowering utility bills for families and businesses alike. This transition has the power to revitalize regions that have felt left behind. It can create pathways to good-paying, stable jobs that cannot be outsourced. It can offer new purpose and pride to communities that once powered our nation through traditional industries and are now ready to lead again in the industries of the future. And let's be clear, the global race for clean energy leadership is already underway. Countries around the world are investing heavily in renewable technologies. They understand that the nations who lead in clean energy will also lead in innovation, manufacturing, and economic growth in the decades ahead. The question is not whether the clean energy economy will grow. It will. The question is whether we will lead it or whether we will fall behind watch others take the opportunities that should have been ours. We have the talent, we have the resources, we have the entrepreneurial spirit that has always driven progress. What we need is the commitment to invest in the industries that will define the 21st century. Because clean energy is not just about solar panels and wind turbines. It is about building smarter cities, modernizing our infrastructure, and creating technologies that make our lives more efficient and more affordable. It is about innovation in transportation, construction, manufacturing, and agriculture. It is about creating an economy that is not only stronger, but also more sustainable, and the benefits reach far beyond the balance sheet. Cleaner energy means cleaner air. It means fewer asthma attacks for children. It means lower healthcare costs for families. It means communities that are healthier, safer, and more vibrant. When we invest in clean energy, we are not just reducing emissions. We are expanding opportunity. We are opening doors for workers, entrepreneurs, and young people who are looking for a future they can believe in. This is not about choosing between jobs and the environment. It is about recognizing that the jobs of tomorrow are being created by the solutions of today. It is about understanding that economic growth and environmental responsibility can and must go hand in hand. So instead of fearing this transition, let us embrace it. Let us see it for what it truly is, a chance to build an economy that is stronger, fairer, and more forward-looking than anything we have known before, because the clean energy future is not just good for the planet, it is good for the people who call it home. But recognizing the science and understanding the opportunity is only part of the journey. To truly move forward, we need direction, we need purpose, and above all, we need bold, clear goals that bring out the best in our nation. Throughout our history, we have never been a country that shied away from big challenges. When we set our sights on building a transcontinental railroad, many said it was impossible. When we committed to landing a man on the moon, there were those who doubted it could be done within a decade. But we did not let fear or hesitation define us. We set ambitious goals, we worked together, and we achieved what once seemed out of reach. That same spirit must guide us now. If we are serious about confronting climate change and building a clean energy future, then we cannot settle for small steps or half measures. We must aim high. We must set goals that stretch our capabilities, inspire innovation, and mobilize the full strength of our economy and our people. Imagine a country where rooftops across our cities, suburbs, and rural communities are covered with solar panels, quietly and efficiently turning sunlight into power. Imagine neighborhoods where families generate their own energy, lower their bills, and contribute to a cleaner grid. Imagine schools, hospitals, and businesses powered by renewable sources that are reliable, affordable, and sustainable. That vision is not beyond our reach. In fact, it is closer than many people think. The technology exists. The workforce is ready. The investment is growing. What we need now is the determination to set bold targets and the leadership to pursue them with urgency. That is why we must commit to ambitious national goals. Goals that send a clear signal to industries, investors, and communities that the future is clean, renewable, and within our grasp. Goals that encourage innovation, create jobs, and position us as leaders in the global clean energy race. When a nation sets a clear direction, it unleashes creativity and momentum. Businesses invest, researchers innovate, workers train for new opportunities, communities rally around a shared mission, Big goals don't just measure progress, they create it. And these goals are not about government alone, they are about partnership. They are about states, cities, businesses, and citizens working together. They are about homeowners choosing solar panels, companies investing in clean technologies, and communities building smarter, more resilient energy systems. Because the transition to renewable energy is not a single project or a single policy, it is a national effort. It is a collective movement that requires participation at every level of society. And, let's be honest, ambitious goals are not always easy. They require investment, they require planning, they require hard work. But history shows us that when we set our sights high, we unlock the very best of our character and our capabilities. We are innovators, we are builders, we are problem solvers. And when we commit to a challenge, we have a remarkable way of turning possibility into reality. The next decade offers us a rare and powerful opportunity. The choices we make now can accelerate progress for generations to come. We can build an energy system that is cleaner, stronger, and more resilient. We can create jobs, strengthen our economy, and improve the quality of life for millions of people. But that future will not happen by accident. It will happen because we set clear goals and pursued them with determination and unity. So let us think big. Let us aim high. Let us commit to the kind of bold national targets that inspire action, drive innovation, and move us forward together, because when we set ambitious goals and work toward them as one nation, there is nothing we cannot achieve. But even with the science before us, the opportunities in reach, and the goals clearly set, none of it will matter unless we act, and act together. Because the truth is, the window for action is not endless. The next decade will shape the next century. The decisions we make now will determine whether we move forward into a cleaner, stronger future or remain stuck in the habits of the past. We cannot afford to think of this as someone else's problem. We cannot wait for another country to lead or for another generation to fix what we have delayed. Climate change is not a distant threat. It is here. It is affecting communities, economies, and lives right now. And the longer we wait, the harder and more expensive the solutions will become. But here is the good news. We are not powerless. In fact, we are standing at the edge of one of the most exciting transitions in modern history. We are on the cusp of a new era, an era where energy is cleaner, more affordable, and more accessible than ever before. For the first time, families can produce their own power from their rooftops. Communities can build local energy systems that are more resilient to storms and disruptions. Businesses can lower their costs while reducing their environmental impact. Cities can design smarter transportation systems, cleaner public spaces, and healthier environments for their citizens. This is not just about changing how we power our homes. It is about transforming how we live. It is about creating cities that are more livable, economies that are more inclusive, and communities that are more connected. And this transformation will not come from one law, one policy, or one leader. It will come from millions of people making millions of choices. Workers learning new skills, companies investing in clean technologies, local governments building sustainable infrastructure, and citizens demanding progress. Every one of us has a role to play. Businesses can innovate and invest, workers can adapt and lead in new industries, communities can build smarter, cleaner systems, and citizens can hold leaders accountable for the choices they make. This is how real change happens, not through a single moment, but through a shared commitment, through a collective decision to move forward instead of standing still, because we have always been a nation defined by action. When challenges have come before us, whether economic crises, global conflicts, or social injustice, we did not shrink from them. We came together, we rolled up our sleeves, and we did the work. That same spirit must guide us now. We must be willing to rethink old systems and embrace new ones. We must be willing to invest in the future, even when it requires sacrifice in the present. And we must be willing to work together across industries, communities, and political lines to achieve a goal that benefits us all. Because this is not about one party or one ideology. It is about our shared future. It is about the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the world we pass on to those who come after us. The choices we make in the next 10 years will echo for generations. They will shape the economy, the environment, and the opportunities available to our children and grandchildren. And when that future arrives, it will not matter what excuses we offered or what arguments we made. What will matter is what we did. Did we act with courage? Did we listen to the science? Did we seize the opportunity to build something better? Or did we wait and hesitate and hope the problem would solve itself? We cannot wait any longer. The moment for action is now, and the responsibility belongs to all of us, because together we have the power to choose progress, to choose innovation, and to choose a future that is worthy of the generations to come. And the time to choose that future is now.